alive, let's hit the dance floor.
What is up, Bodyweight Exercise fans? In today's video, I'll be doing my best to answer a question that I get quite often from you, which is how do I train to stay in great shape? Although great shape can be subjective, I think I am in great shape, taking into consideration that I'm 37, that I only do calisthenics, I don't lift any weights, I don't use special machines, and that I'm completely natural. So what is my exact training approach to accomplish this? Tip number one is low training volume. Even though high volume training strategies might be good for improving your form and teaching your neuromuscular system to recruit muscle fiber more efficiently, especially when you're new to an exercise or calisthenics in general, I find it pointless as a main workout approach when it comes to year-round training, unless, number one, we're talking about a workout you do once a week to spice things up, and ideally a workout that doesn't focus on more than one or maybe two maximum exercises, such as my 7-1 workout. And the second scenario during which I consider high training volume a useful training approach is when it's done during targeted peak periods, like once or twice a year for not more than 6 or 9 weeks. For example, this is a strategy that I also include in my annual programming, what I call my superhero bodyweight workout plans, which I usually do prior to my birthday each year as a reminder as well, and a way to challenge myself to stay in good shape as I grow older. Still, keep in mind that this is not how I train during the rest of the year. This is something that I do again in a targeted way once or twice a year. And also always after these intense training periods, I'm going to follow them with proper recovery, which means taking anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks of active rest right after. So that being said, when it comes to the rest of the year, I usually focus on no more than 5 exercises per day, typically a pull, a lower body, a push, a core, and one more exercise that is a little bit more dynamic, something also a little bit more cardiovascular, usually lower body oriented, things such as jumping rope, sprints, and plyometrics. The reason I like to keep training volume low is because it helps me make the best out of each workout, and it helps me basically to focus on a few exercises, making sure that I make each rep and each set count, and I can always work basically borderline close to technical failure, which brings me to my next point. Tip number 2 is training close to technical failure. Once you're past your first years of training consistently, the more experienced you become, you and your neuromuscular system, the more you realize that you can't really get more than 2 or maximum 3 high quality sets per exercise and movement pattern per workout if you're really honest with yourself. Of course, in order to be clear here, we're talking about quality sets that are done after a quality warm-up, since a lot of people tend to mix up warm-up sets with regular sets. So unless you space your sets with huge breaks and your workout ends up taking hours, which also needs a lot more days of recovery afterwards, you soon realize that 2 focused or maximum 3 focused sets till failure can get you the best results, especially when you train daily and consistently in the long run. Therefore, keep in mind that we're also talking here about a high training frequency plan, which we'll be covering into more detail in tip number 4. Tip number 3 is aim at making each rep as hard as possible, aim at getting less quality reps, and stop trying to get a lot of pointless reps. After close to 10 years of practicing calisthenics, when people tell me how many reps I can do, for example, when they ask me about pull-ups, my answer usually puzzles them and even disappoints them, since I never answer more than 15. Not a seemingly impressive number for someone practicing and preaching calisthenics for close to a decade now. Here's the thing though, I very rarely practice how to do more reps. Instead, what I focus on is to always make each rep as hard as possible. This is why I don't count a pull-up unless I go chest to bar in a smooth and controlled tempo while capitalizing on maximum muscle tension through mind-to-muscle cues, and also just to prove to myself and some other people that getting high reps is more of a matter of practice. When you don't care about things such as mind-to-muscle connection, smooth and slow tempo. I set a goal last year to get really high reps in the gymnastic ring dip. And although I started with 21 reps, my goal was to get 36 reps for my 36th birthday, which was only 2 months later. A really bold statement, really, since, adding so many reps as an advanced trainee, someone who has been training for close to 10 years, would probably be, for a lot of people, impossible. Yet, I imagined that there was a lot of room for improvement since I hadn't been aiming at high reps during my training. And that is what helped me to make that bold statement. So after training for a few months and focusing on high reps, not caring about mind-to-muscle connection, about slow, smooth tempo, I achieved my goal and got 36 gymnastic ring dips for my 36th birthday. There's also a video that I'll include below if you want to check it out. Still, that is not something that I'll brag about since that is not the main mindset behind my training. In summary, I find that working on high reps is an approach that should be used sparingly since it means a lot of pointless mileage for your joints, and in my opinion, it's not a long-term sustainable training approach. Instead, doing your repetitions in a slow and smooth manner, focusing on mind-to-muscle cues and maximizing muscle tension can deliver, if not better, definitely equal results. Tip number 4 is high training frequency. If it's important, do it every day, as I like to say. Now, for those still skeptical about low volume, keep in mind that even though I might not seem to get a lot of training volume per day, besides the fact that I trained focused and close to training failure, using high frequency training is the second way that I make the best out of my short daily workouts that don't take more than 35 minutes. Basically, instead of trying to cram a lot of mediocre sets in 1 or 2 workouts, I only focus on quality sets that are spread optimally across the week. Now, some people here will be also curious about recovery, since when I talk about high frequency training, there's generalization when it comes to strength training, and that you can't train the same muscle groups or a body part on consecutive days. Yet that is more of a bro myth, since training frequency is not the only variable that affects recovery. Total training volume, time under tension, and load are even more important factors to keep in mind. Plus, once you're past your beginner phase, there's even research nowadays showing that elevated muscle protein synthesis doesn't last more than 24 hours. Especially if you spread your volume strategically over the week, as I'll be explaining in today's video. Training every day is not only doable, but also the key of my training approach and something I believe works optimally with calisthenics. Also, to make a little parenthesis here, when I say training every day, I mean training 5 to 6 times a week, since, at least 1 day of rest is something that I always recommend. So after covering the basics, instead of wasting time on supplementary exercises that don't do a lot for you, I say keep your session short and save your energy to be fully charged for your next workout. This way, you finish your training feeling energized, as explained in the beginning, instead of feeling beaten up, something that leaves you boosted mentally and physically during the rest of the day, but also leaves you fresh and motivated to train during your next workout. Okay, that was all for today. In case I missed something, leave a question below in the comment section. I always do my best to get back to everyone. Another thing that I want to mention is that in less than 2 months, I'm turning 37th. And each year, as you probably already know, those of you at least who have been following me for a few years, I always do my superhero bodyweight workout challenge before reaching my birthday. This is a personal challenge that I do with myself each year to try to be in even better shape than the previous year, or at least stay in great shape as I grow older. So this year, I'll be updating the superhero bodyweight workout again, and we'll be doing it in a boot camp version. So we'll be doing it online using a special platform that I used for my Strong and Lean over 30 bootcamp. And this way we'll have a lot more accountability. You'll have personal access to me as a coach. Anytime you want to ask a question, you can post it in our community, you can send me a personal message. And I find that this platform works really well. Right now we're on the second run of the Strong and Lean Over 30 Bootcamp. People seem to enjoy it a lot, seem to be not missing workouts, seem to be breaking through plateaus when it comes to consistency, when it comes to mental barriers and physical barriers. So this is something I'll be trying this year with the Superhero Bodyweight Workout 5.0 as well. Something I'll be talking a lot more in the coming videos. So keep that in mind, and until next time, keep on training.